Hey Cougar fans, we're here with USF men's basketball coach Chris Johnson. The Cougars come back to the Stewart Center this weekend for a pair of games. They play Concordia-St. Paul on Friday night. That game's at 8 p.m. And on Saturday, Minnesota State's in town. Chris, give us a quick review on the games last weekend. You went up north and played one of the best teams in the country on Friday night, and then on Saturday you had another war with Northern State where it went back and forth. Talk about the weekend and moving forward.
Yeah, you know, Friday night, obviously Moorhead's really good, and we shot the ball really poorly. You know, and they were going to be a tough enough challenge as it was, but we got great looks, and we went 6 of 31 in the first half and just dug ourselves too deep a hole. And you got to give them credit. I mean, they're really good, and they're playing really well. The next night, you know, they did the same thing to Southwest. And so, you know, you just kind of chalk that one up, throw it in the garbage, and move on, honestly, because we got great looks, and we did some really nice things. We just couldn't finish plays. Saturday is a typical game up there. I mean, it seems like every time we play up there, it's a 3 to 5 point game. You know, I thought our guys battled really hard. They got us down by 10 or 12 a couple different times, and we stayed right there or got it back close to even there and had a chance late and just didn't make enough plays. You know, again, we struggled to shoot the ball a little bit. We shot 40% from the floor. Didn't shoot the ball great from the three-point line either. Didn't get to the foul line enough. You know, they got to the foul line, I think, almost 30 times. We only got there 10 times. And, you know, it's tough to win on the road when you're, you know, the other team shooting 20 more free throws than you are. But a lot of that was on us. And we've got to find a way to get to the line more and foul less. And, but I was happy with how we played that night. You know, we got beat. You know, and you can look at it a couple different ways. You go up and you play two good teams on the road. Sometimes that happens. You know, we had done a really good job of finding a way to split, you know, at worst and all of that kind of stuff. And we didn't that weekend, so I'm excited to see how we respond coming up against Concordia and Mankato this weekend.
Now, one thing that happened last weekend was the Mac Johnson went into 8th place all time, hit 3 threes on Saturday night. He now has 144, and he's only one way from Joe Mulder for 7th place, and he keeps moving up that 3-point list, and he's also closing in on 1,000 points, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we've talked a lot about Mac. He's a big part of our program, has been since he walked in the doors. You know, him scoring 1,000 points in his junior year, I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. The 3-point stuff is not a huge surprise either. I'd like to see him be a little more consistent from there this year. He hasn't shot the ball quite to his capabilities, but that's not an effort thing or anything like that. But if we get him going, that's going to really help our team. But you know, most nights you can kind of pencil him in for 16 points and kind of go from there. And it's always nice as a coach to know what you're going to get out of guys and know that you have that guy you can lean on when you really need a basket.
He's also been very proficient at the foul line, 46 of 47 in league play, which his only miss was here at the Stewart Center last against Upper Iowa. Moving on, we have Concordia-St. Paul. Joey James' program has had some up and down moments lately. This year they've won 3 out of 4. They played Minnesota State on Tuesday night, and it was a solid game. It looked like a pretty good, solid effort for them. Talk about what the challenge with Concordia-St. Paul is.
Yeah. I mean, they're clearly playing better. You know, they started off, I think, 0-8 in the league, and they've won 3 out of their last 4. So they've found some things. They've always been a good defensive team under Coach James. That's what they hang their hat on, and you can see that side has really come on here the last month, and that's why they're winning more games. You know, they've had some injuries and some guys transfer and stuff, so they're not as deep as they once were, which is kind of a double-edged sword because now he's playing all of his really good players as starters almost 40 minutes. Well, that means his really good players are on the floor the whole night, so that's not necessarily a great thing. But, you know, if we can get into their bench, that'll be a goal, you know, through foul trouble or whatever that might be, the pace of the game. But they tend to be rock fights. You know, they don't play at a real fast pace. You're going to have to earn every basket you get against them. They rarely make defensive mistakes. Offensively, they're going to pound it inside. They probably throw it inside more than anybody in the league. to Shea Manley and Mike Yonke. But even with that, their 3 leading scorers are their 3 guards. So they're pretty diverse in their attack offensively. It'll be a big challenge. It'll be a big challenge. They're a good team. We always seem to have really good close games with them as well.
Well, that game is again on Friday night at 8 p.m. Following the women's game. Then Saturday night, early Saturday evening, approximately about 6 o'clock, the Cougars play Minnesota State. Matt Morgenthaler has a somewhat of a rebuilt team. Several D1 transfers came in, but they've been near the top of the league most of the year, 13-5. They're 8-4 in the league. What's the challenge for Minnesota State?
Well, they're really athletic. They're not big like they have been in the past. They play a lot of 6'5", 6'6" guys. They shoot the ball really well. I watched the game obviously on Tuesday night against Concordia, and I think they were 9 of 18 from the 3. They got Joey Wittes, a freshman, who's shooting the ball as well as anyone in our league and averaging double figures as a freshman in our league. We all know how hard that is to do. Jalen Pendleton, kind of a do-it-all point guard that transferred in from Southern Illinois, showing why he was a Missouri Valley player. He's averaging 10, 12 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He can kind of do it all. He had a triple-double earlier in the year against Concordia, before Christmas. So they present a lot of different challenges because they're so athletic. They want to play in transition. They're kind of opposite of how Concordia wants to play. And so it'll be interesting and important for us to kind of reboot that next day and get refocused on a completely different challenge.
Now, you guys have shot pretty well at home from the perimeter. I think somewhere around 47, 48%. However, the three-point line has not been particularly good for you at home. What do you think has to happen this weekend for the W's to ring up for you?
It's interesting that you bring that up because I did some look. I'm not a big stat guy, and I did some looking yesterday. We've only made less threes than our opponent 2 times the whole year, Augustana and Moorhead.
Right.
Otherwise, we've been even or we've made more because we guard the three-point line pretty well. The problem is that's created a lot of fouls for us with guys driving it at us and some of those things. Because I was looking for that exact thing. Is there a magic number of perimeter shots that we need? When we make this, so I could go to the guys with. I don't know that there is. Obviously, last time we were at home, we played Winona and Upper. We didn't make shots against Upper, and against Winona, we were 9 of 13 in the first half from the 3, and you got a 10 or 15 point lead. So obviously it helps. But we've got to find a way to win games when shots aren't falling, and I know they're going to start falling because, we're not a dynamic shooting team by any stretch, but we're not as poor as we've been here the last couple weeks, and guys just need to see it go through the net a couple times, and if it does that, then I think the floodgates can open for us.
Defensively, you guys you continue to be near the top of the league in defensive scoring. You had giving up 73 points on the road to Northern was still a really, I think, pretty good defensive effort. And you've been consistently there. You've been able to defend the 3 pretty well, and then, but getting to the line has been one of the things that you haven't done enough this year, right?
Right, and quite honestly, we only gave up 78 to a Moorhead team that had 115 the next night and had 95 with 11 minutes left in the game. So we've done some nice things on that side of the ball. It comes at a cost. The way we've guarded the three-point line has caused us some other issues. We've got to get back to being a little bit more detailed and more on that fine line. But we have got to get to the free throw line more. And part of it is we've just fouled far too much. And so the other teams have gotten there a lot more than us, but we haven't gotten there nearly enough. Part of that is, outside of Daniel, we don't have a lot of guys that we're throwing the ball into in the post to get post touches and get fouled. And we have a lot more guards that are more comfortable pulling up, from 15 feet or shooting an open 3 than, obviously Clint Thomas isn't a slasher. No. Mac really isn't. He can do that, but that's not where he's probably at his best. That's where we got to get Jared Mays going, because he's a guy that can get us to the foul line and make some plays happen in the half court, slash him to the basket, and he can create for others. And so he's had a good week of practice. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out this weekend. So
that's good to see Jared come around. Practice-wise, you think you had a solid week?
Yep. Yep. You know, we just need to simplify some things. It's hard when things can snowball on you and you're not playing as well as you'd like or as well as coach would like, or you know, you're not getting as many opportunities because, you know, like Drew Giebert is playing so well. But his commitment to this team and his willingness to work hard and give us effort, and that has never waned. You know, I want to be really clear on that. He's still going to be a really good player in this league. I know that. It's just taking him a little bit longer than it did Daniel and Clint, and that's probably why it's more noticeable. But he's a guy he's a different kind of piece than we have. And when he's good, that just adds another dimension to our team.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he has a soft-looking jump shot, and then he can slash to the basket. He does a lot of things well. Drew Giebert, a freshman, really had kind of a pretty nice season for you. Got into the starting lineup now, and he's added another dimension for you, right?
Yep. You know, Drew just needs to be more consistent, but I would say that about every freshman that I've ever coached.
Right.
You know, he's been even better than I thought he would be, though, you know, this early. Now he knows where he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to do. Now he just has to do it, like I said, consistently all the time. But he has been a guy, I mean, we put him into the starting lineup and he won double figures 3 out of his four games that he started for us. He's a guy that finds shots because he's 6'9" and he can shoot it over you. He's done a little better job here lately putting the ball on the ground and getting to the rim that way because everybody pushes up on him because he shoots the ball so well. And he's blocked some shots for us defensively coming from the weak side. So I've said it a bunch of times. I don't want to put pressure on him, but I do think he has a chance to be special when it's all said and done. But he's got a lot of work to do to get there. But the best thing about Drew is you know he'll put that work in.
That's true. And he also is another player that can get to the basket, right?
Yep. You know, it's not. He's got to be a little bit more straight line, 1-2 bounces, and make a decision. Where, you know, Jared can hit you with multiple moves. You know, but Drew's just learning, you know, how to be a guard right now, how to play on the wing. You know, and this weekend he might play a little bit more forward because of some matchups and some things. So it might be a little bit different than it's been the last month. But he's a guy that, because of that versatility, you know, he becomes hard to guard. If you put a big guy on him, then he can bounce it by you. Put a guard on him, and he can post you up, or he can shoot the ball over you out at the perimeter. So, yep, nice. Anytime you have diversity to your game, it really helps.
Now, finally, you have a team that's played pretty well at home this year. They're 7-2, so it's nice to get back, right?
It is. You know, when you have a tough weekend like we had last weekend, it's always nice to go back home, be familiar. You know, place where everybody's comfortable, all of that kind of stuff. But as good as we've been at home, we got to find a way to start winning some games on the road. There's no doubt about that. We got to do that. But all we can do right now is worry about trying to protect our home court, get ourselves back going, and you know, go from there and turn it. You know, there's only 5 weekends left in the season, so every one of these is really important, and you got to find a way to grind them out some nights. And we've been close on a lot of those. We got to find a way to finish the deal.
Well, fans, come on out. There'll be a lot of excitement for the students. There's a pizza party on Friday night, and there'll be some other teams on it as well on Friday night. And then Saturday afternoon will be a fun. Starts with the women's game at 4, men at 6. 2 good games. Chris, good luck this weekend, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks a lot.